nice suggestion to cut my hair.
We have a road transfer station now.
I don't have that option.
Yeah, we haul all of our.
Just wait till March.
For now.
Be like my dad, back in the seventies. Yeah.
Only.
And it goes to
It's
Lowe's.
5:15, this November 1st meeting of the Board of Public Works and Safety is hereby called to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Treasurer Aldrich, will you call the roll?
Dick Bradshaw,
Present.
Cameron Yates,
Present.
and Eda Waring.
Present. The minutes of the October 18th regular meeting are presented for review. Are there any additions or corrections to be made?
I have none.
I have none.
I move we accept the minutes of October 18th.
Second.
Without objection, the motion carries. Next order of business are the claims for November 1st totaling $671,100.54. Is there a motion to approve the November 1st claims?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the claims?
Yes.
Yes. I just have one. I know this
Why don't you
is,
hold the microphone closer to you?
I know this is one I bring up a lot, but I've just seen one with the well 5 for a frontier that was $400. And that was a normal charge for a well. It seemed like it was a little bit higher than.
It is higher. The contract that was signed previously when the well was established, and it should not have been. We could have had a much simpler apparatus there operating it. And the problem is that, I'm not sure on my memory if it's a 4-year or 5-year contract. If we want out of it, we may get out of it by paying the amount owed for the 4 to 5 years.
This is for our communication between the well and basically it's the state information.
It's not a 7 or 8 month left.
It is, yes.
It's a flat amount.
To bring the DSL line in there.
Okay,
Yeah,
for
it's
sure,
on.
for that. Okay, that makes more sense. Thank you. That's all I have.
On page 1, I had a question about the Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. Is that a monthly charge, that 35?
Yes, it is. That's for all employees,
Okay.
and then water and wastewater pays that.
Okay, on page 4, there's a charge for security camera replacement. You know what that is? Is that
I'm not sure where you are.
on page 4?
I don't see it on page 4.
That's please to be under.
It's right before the street department claims.
Oh, right up at the top of that page,
Yeah.
35, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's digital video solutions and security. And they handle all the cameras at the city building, but they handle all the cameras on the trails.
So is that a trail camera or?
I'm not sure at this point,
Okay,
but I would say at this point, no, it's a camera on the police building or in one of their cars because it's taken off. The appropriation number is taken off the police department.
okay.
I think we also have had a camera replaced at the city building. One of
Yeah,
the
we
ones
did,
outside.
we would be taking that off the police.
Right, okay.
Okay, last one is page 8, down about 3/4 the way down Delphi Properties. What is that facade grant for what? Is that building or what is it?
Yes, that's a facade improvement grant that's through the Main Street program. While we don't have an active Main Street right now, we have continued with the facade improvement program. So that's the Bradshaw Insurance building, and they had quite a bit of work being done on the cornice of the building. And that is, we have, I think, 10,000 left this year for them.
So, other people can apply for that,
Correct.
that's all I have right now.
Call for the question, all in favor of approving the $671,100.54 for the November 1st claims, signify by saying aye.
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 And aye, motion carries. The first order of new business is awarding the contract for trash collection for the period beginning January 1st, 2022, through December 31st, 2023. Trash Cans LLC was the low bidder for trash collection with a monthly fee of $14.95 per customer based on 908 customers for a total of $162,895.20. Superintendent Lyons has checked that all required documentation was provided in the bid and has contacted references. Superintendent Lyons, do you have any comments?
I don't at this time.
Is there a motion to award the 2022-2023 trash collection contract to Trash Cans LLC?
So moved.
There's been a motion and a second, any discussion?
I got a couple of questions. They indicate that it's, what, $14.95 a customer. So, for 908 customers, what if we get 10 new customers, do we pay that much more? And if we lose 10 customers, do we get that much back, or how's that work?
Yeah, so it's $14.95 per household, and I think you said, per the agreement, it's based on 908 homes, not to exceed 950, I think is what it is. Yeah, so it would be $14.95, and say you add 10 and then you lose 10, we adjust the billing accordingly for that.
Any other questions?
That was it.
All those in favor of awarding the contract for trash collection 2022-2023 to Trash Cans LLC, signify by saying aye.
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 And I'm an aye. Motion carries. And next is to approve the contract with Trash Cans LLC, a revision of which was sent to you earlier today. And the revision was basically a change in the wording on hazardous waste. And how that would protect both parties, both Trash Cans and the city. Is there a motion to approve the contract with Trash Cans LLC for 2022-2023?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And I'm an aye, motion carries. That pretty much ends our regular business for the evening. Quick updates on some of the projects. The Bowen properties sold at auction last Tuesday evening for $3.5 million to an investor from Rhode Island. Jake Adams and Jake from the Carroll County Economic Development Corporation, and I had met with this investor a few weeks prior to the auction and presented the development plan for the property. We seemed favorably disposed to that. Since this sale, I have been in touch with the investor to let them know that the city had set aside $2.5 million to incentivize the development plan, the buyer to follow the development plan. Last Wednesday, we had the ribbon cutting for the water project, held out at the new pump station out by IFQ. The weather was nice that day, it was probably the only day last week that it was, so that was an added benefit. Those who came not only got to participate in the ribbon cutting, but received tours of the new pump station, which is pretty impressive. And also were able to partake of a lunch provided by, catered by Mitchell's, and sponsored by our host, Butler Fairman and Seifert and Bowen Engineering. The Deer Creek tank rehabilitation is nearing completion. The interior paint is completed and is curing before, has I think between a 1 and 2 week cure period before you can begin refilling the tank and testing. The logos are now completed on that tank. Armory Road standpipe is also progressing. The sand blasting of the exterior is done, and I believe the preliminary primer coat has been applied to the exterior. Interior continues, and some patching work that was required there. All work is expected to be wrapped up by the end of November. And Aaron, would you please update us on the trails, the construction and the sealing projects that are underway? If you would like to come and grab a, or stand close to Mr. Brooks.
Hold on, Bridge Trail is all but complete. Went out there today, verified they did some rework for us. We had some concrete up there that needed to be replaced. They've done so. Swept off the trail. The riprap wash is sufficient, so we should be getting submitted on that or final payout. So we'll be able to clear that out. Bison Plaza, they got started last week. We had some work out there that I think we're doing well. We're taking care of that. Got some asphalt worked out and new stone base put in, so I'll look for the asphalt to go down. Maybe this week, next week. I know on the CCMG 2 project, they're doing the asphalts next week. It's supposed to mill and pave that up there, so they may do Bison Plaza at the same time, but I haven't heard. With CCMG 2, that is going well. We've got
That's Terrace Meadows.
That's Terrace Meadows. We've got a handful of drives to do. I think there's roughly 8 drives left. So we should have that finished probably by Thursday. And Friday, hopefully, will be a cleanup day. We can kind of prep things and finish doing some soils and moving dirt work that needs to be right down on the dirt to get that finished up. CCMG 1 is it's going, albeit slowly. We have trials and tribulations on it. The micro seal on that job is done. With crack seal coming up, the last I talked to that contractor is going to be the first of November, so I was hoping this week, but I haven't heard from him, so I'll check and see. The concrete crew, baby steps, we take 1 step forward, 2 steps back. We've got some quality issues. We can work out some more concrete. They've got 1 per year, so it's very slow. They are LDs, so it goes directly into the ski. So we're just stuck between the rock and hard spot at this point. So far in the year that I think we've also almost not answered. It's tough.
I know it's the same company, but different crew for the paving for Wilson. Will that be?
Yes, those are 2 different contractors. Contractor CCMG 1 and CCMG 2.
The paving for Wilson is the same company.
Yes, sir. Oh, for Wilson, yes, that's the same. Wilson, Monroe, and Front.
So will the concrete crew be doing the paving too, or they got different crews like lots?
They got different crews there.
Is that gonna be completed by year?
Is that any?
The paving for Wilson, will that be milled and?
Yes.
So we do have a meeting scheduled with the contractor for Wilson Front and Monroe on Friday, and see how far we get this week. Have an interesting meeting, I'm sure.
Are they paying,
Yes.
fine or?
They're, we don't know how much the damages have totaled so far. Last I checked, it was around 14. Yeah, it should be higher than that by now.
Thank you.
And the only other update that I have was on the residential tip. The council voted last month to approve the amendments to the Delphi RDC Economic Development Plan. And the revised, the revised MOU is being reviewed by the school attorney now. We're hoping to have the MOU resolution ready for the Delphi Community School Corporation board meeting on November 8th. And that is all that I have. Are there any board comments or requests?
What's the status on 106 East Main? Saw there was some action of some kind in there.
So 106 East Main has been sold. The purchaser is Dick Bradshaw.
Bill
You don't want it?
Nick,
Bill Bradshaw, sorry. One of those Bradshaw.
he's a lot smarter than I am, so maybe he was right.
So, and I know his intention is to get that facade taken care of by the end of the year. Get the OSB board off. But we're running out of time for construction, so we'll see how far that gets, but that's the intent. And then I believe it will go back to commercial property.
So Alderman, what his name is, he's out of it.
Hageman is out, yes. Yeah.
What's the status of the Delphi chain?
They have a meeting coming up on November 8th. I believe their plan is to dissolve and sell their assets, which primarily is the parking lot behind Mitchell's. Anyone who is a member of the organization is invited to attend that membership meeting, November 8th. I think it's at, is it at 5:30 or 6? Do you remember all the day?
No, I don't keep track.
Mayor, 5:30.
5:30 here at this community center. Any other comments? Clerk Bradshaw? Public comments?
Somebody else. If she wants to go over here. About the lady in the back.
Jim?
I have a question about the claim against the wastewater for $1,225 for TV scan and scope for Lindsay Nelson. What exactly is that? Is that tuberculosis? Is that what that means, or does TV stand for something else?
It's a television scan, a camera scan of their line that went down into the city's sewer connection.
I wonder what the TV stood for.
Yeah, so it's a camera scope.
And I have one other, at your last meeting, you approved a claim for $9,380 to go from Fund 153 to make a correction over an encumbrance from the signage over here for the CARES Act. Went back and researched that a little bit. In December of 2020, the council received information about an encumbrance from line item 101002360, which was miscellaneous repairs for the city building in the amount of $9,911.26 to encumber money to pay for that sign. Then in April of 2021, the Board of Works approved the claim from that line item from the general fund in that amount to pay that encumbrance. And at your last meeting, there was a claim to put $9,380 back to the city of Delphi from Fund 153, which from my research had not been established in the calendar year 2020. So I would like an explanation of how that all was possible.
Would you like for me to answer that?
Yes, go ahead, Lynette.
When that grant was first applied for, we did not, in fact, the mayor felt strongly that we would not receive it. As it came to the end of the year, we had heard nothing. So at that time, we wanted to encumber money to be able to pay for it out of general in case we did not get the grant. And as I said, the mayor didn't think we were going to. So the money was encumbered out of the general fund. It turned out, after the first, there's no reason to set up a fund number when you haven't received revenue and haven't been approved for a grant. In February of 2021, revenue was received for that grant. And correct me if I'm wrong, We did not hear long before the money came into the bank that we had been approved for the grant. The fund was established with Dan Hedden's help, a fund number was given to it, and the revenue was receipted into it. The problem, in April, I was in the hospital. Amanda, who does a fabulous job for us, was not sure how to handle encumbrances, and they're tricky animals. So she tried to pay it as the invoice come in, because there again, once a fund's established, you have so much time to pay out your bills. So she tried to handle the encumbrance. The encumbrance was naturally in the system. The minute you put the purchase order number up, the full amount of the encumbrance comes up. At the bottom of the screen, and it types everything in. At the bottom of the screen, it asks you if you want to liquidate this encumbrance. The encumbrance was for $9,911. In the meantime, the invoice that we received from the company was $9,380. So when she hit that button and accepted to liquidate it, it automatically put the $9,911 in. That was done through the general fund. In order to get the grant fund, number 153, correct, then the grant fund, which has the money and still had it on your recent fund reports, showing it on there, then that grant had to pay general back the exact amount of what the invoice was, $9,380. The other money that was liquidated from that encumbrance would have automatically been liquidated at the end of the year and went back into the general account. Doing it this way, it automatically does. It makes your fund account come out to a zero balance. It shows the revenue coming in, and it shows the revenue going out.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Any other public comments?
Mike, just a clarification, a couple of points you wanted to awarded the trash contract. Now, is that for $14.95 a month? Was that the amount that was?
It is based, the contract is based on $14.95 per customer per month.
Per customer per month, so that's an increase of $4.95. I'm asking for my wife's sake.
But we have not yet determined what the rate is. Mr. Brooks, we have not yet set what the rate increase will be for residents.
Okay,
That will
you had
happen at
mentioned
the
that
next meeting.
in articles prior in the comment. First off, I want to make sure that the comment and her viewing audience knows that all of this is very much appreciated with the hearing impaired. And I know this gentleman went out of his way to accommodate me and made a couple of phone calls, so kudos to him. You mentioned, and I'm not going to belabor the point because I think it might come up again in the regular council meeting, the acreage that was purchased. Now, was that purchased, for lack of better terms, with the investor that you are working with, or somebody other than that investor?
It was purchased by an investor from the state of Rhode Island.
Now, my next question being this $2.5 million that has been set aside, how is that, who gets that money?
So the money is set aside to incentivize the buyer to follow the city's development plan. And so how it might be used is that the funding could be used to continue the development of the site plan, where determine what drainage issues will run into, surveying of the property, those kinds of things. Working with the buyer to figure out what phases of development. I mean, it's a development that will occur over a large number of years. And so determining what phase one might be, and then the money could also be used to continue with preliminary design, engineering design for that phase one, to determine where infrastructure goes.
Now, and I'm going to kind of ask Leanne this question. Are you going to be the person responsible for watching the nickels and dimes on this project?
Sure.
And I'm going to just add a little side note. In the last 35 years of my life, I was in Southern California, and I see these guys come along, and they're still in my hometown of 395,000 people in California. There's still 10 projects still to this day dating back to the 1990s. So sure, since I was born in Carroll County, have ties here, that is hopefully watched by each one of you, and I will hold your fingers to the fire and make sure that $2.5 million of tax money is accounted for if it has to be every cent, will be every cent.
Absolutely.
You know, so, although I don't agree with it, it's something that the people I elected agreed to do, and I know you get a long, hard road and some obstacles to overcome. I wish you the best in your endeavors.
And I apologize, I should have been asking for names and addresses.
Tony Brooks.
I know that, but if you could also just give me your address for the record.
Yeah.
Your address, please? Address?
121 West Summit Street here in Delaware.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Yes.
Gail Connor, 5 Jenny's Franklin, Delphi. I just have one additional question. So when the original claim for the payment on the sign, the 991126 went before the Board of Works, why was it in that amount when you said that the sign was only $9,380? Because the board would have had to have looked at the accounts payable vouchers. They sign off on the register that they've seen those and approved those. So what
Actually, the invoice for the sign was.
invoice
was
went
the full
before
amount,
them?
the larger amount, and the amount of the grant was the 9,300. So
why
the cost
was-
of the sign was more than the grant that we received.
But wouldn't there have been an invoice for $9,380?
No, the invoice was for $9,911. But what the grant paid us for was $9,380. So that grant revenue comes in, has to come back to a zero balance. So that amount was taken out of the grant. The grant became responsible for it. The rest of it came out of where the money was encumbered from originally, which it was done so the whole amount.
Okay, because, well, I just wanted to get that clarified because I don't think I asked that before. So the money, the 9380 went back to the general fund or back to that line item?
Went back to general fund and then you do a budget transfer to the line item. So that puts it back in the line item that it was responsible for in the first place.
So the balance was really what was deducted from that line item back in April. Okay, that's what I want to get to. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yes. I really
Would you
need
state
to,
your name?
I'm Debbie Lowe from the Carroll County Comet.
Yes, Debbie.
I guess I could say 208 West Front Street for a little bit, but, not really. I kind of wanted to make sure that I report exactly about the trash situation. And I did not understand, and I'm glad Mr. Brooks asked this, that $14.95 is what is charged the city per customer,
That's
correct?
what is charged to city.
And then you
It's
said,
not the rate that will be charged to
yeah,
residents unless the council agrees that that's what they want to do. And that will be a discussion at the council.
okay, so
meeting this evening.
the city council is going to make that decision.
Yes, that would have to be, if we increase the rates, that would require the council to approve the rate increase, and then it would require an ordinance and a public hearing at our December meeting.
Okay. And then,
Advertising.
kind of the practicality of it. People are getting new trash cans. When are they getting those trash cans? How are they giving the old trash cans back? I mean, how is all that gonna happen?
Those are all details that will be worked out by Superintendent Lyons in conjunction with Waste Management, our present provider, and Trash Cans LLC. So the plan roughly would be that the last pickup of the year, which would be Waste Management's responsibility, the totes would be collected shortly thereafter, and then Trash Cans would deliver their totes
Before the next pickup,
before the next pickup.
but we're not for sure, but that's kind of
That's.
makes
our
sense.
plan.
It makes sense, yeah. Thank you.
Any other comments? If not, there's one last motion.
A motion we adjourn.
Second?
direction, the Board of Public Works and Safety meeting is adjourned at 5:45 PM. Thank you, everyone.